They told us it was just ice. They lied. Look at your screen. What you're seeing is not a CGI render from a Hollywood movie. This is a declassified thermal scan from a military satellite orbiting 200 miles above the Queen Maud land region of Antarctica. Under 2 miles of solid, ancient ice, there is a pulse. A rhythmic, mechanical heat signature radiating from a structure so massive, it makes the Great Pyramid of Giza look like a toy. According to every history book in your home, this is impossible. Human beings didn't set foot on this continent until 1820. We were told this place has been a frozen wasteland for 15 million years. But the carbon dating from the sediments surrounding this metallic apex says something different. Something terrifying. It's 4,000 years old. That means while the pharaohs were just beginning to lay the foundations of Egypt, a superior civilization was already operating a megalithic complex at the South Pole. A complex that is currently generating heat. A complex that is waking up. If you think this is just another conspiracy theory, ask yourself this. Why did the heads of the world's most powerful nations suddenly rush to the South Pole in the middle of a global crisis? Why are there no-fly zones over empty patches of snow? And why is the ice melting from the bottom up? Tonight we aren't just exploring ruins. We are exposing a 4,000-year-old cover-up that is about to shatter the foundation of everything you think you know about being human. To understand the scale of the lie, we have to look at the maps that shouldn't exist. In 1929, a group of historians made a discovery in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul that should have rewritten every textbook on Earth. They found a map fragment drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. The Piri Reis map shows the coastline of South America and Africa with incredible accuracy. But at the bottom, it depicts the northern coast of Antarctica. Here is the problem. The map shows the coastline without ice. It shows bays, mountain ranges, and rivers. For decades, skeptics claimed Piri Reis was just guessing. But in 1958, the British-Swedish Antarctic expedition performed a seismic survey of the Queen Maud Land subglacial landmass. When they compared their sonar results to the 500-year-old map, the result was chilling. The map was perfect. It depicted the subglacial topography, the ground under the ice, down to the last peninsula. Oh, the ice in that region is supposedly millions of years old. Yet, someone mapped the bare ground with the precision of a modern satellite. Piri Reis wrote in his journals that he didn't draw the map himself. He compiled it from ancient source maps, belonging to the Great Library of Alexandria. This means a civilization existed thousands of years ago that possessed global mapping technology. A civilization that saw Antarctica when it was green. And as we dig deeper into the 4,000-year-old structure found today, we realize that Piri Reis didn't just map the coast, he mapped their home. Let's talk about what's happening now. In late 2021, a private intelligence contractor specializing in deep Earth analysis pointed a multispectral infrared sensor at a restricted sector of the Antarctic plateau. This technology doesn't just see the surface. It penetrates through thousands of feet of solid matter by measuring microvariations in thermal radiation. What they found sent shockwaves through the classified intelligence community. Deep beneath the ice, they didn't find cold bedrock. They found a geometric heat anomaly. This isn't the erratic, messy heat of a volcano. It's structured. The infrared imagery revealed a massive, three-sided structure, a pyramid, but it's built with a material that has a higher thermal conductivity than any stone found on Earth. The structure is pulsing. Every 22 minutes, the temperature rises by 0.5 degrees and then cools back down. It's breathing. When independent researchers tried to cross-reference these coordinates on Google Earth, they found something even more suspicious. The entire 50-mile radius around the anomaly has been digitally patched. It's a blur of low-resolution textures stitched over what should be high-definition satellite data. The mainstream response? It's a natural mountain peak. But look at the angles. Look at the shadows. Nature does not build 90-degree corners that stretch for 2 miles. Nature does not create reinforced metallic skeletons that glow in the infrared spectrum. The most damning piece of evidence came from a leaked report out of the Vostok station. In a clandestine drilling project, researchers extracted ice cores from the layer directly adjacent to the structure's outer wall. In these cores they found two things that shouldn't exist. First, pollen. Not from primitive moss, but from temperate hardwood trees, the kind you find in the forests of North America or Europe today. Second, microfragments of a titanium-aluminum alloy. This isn't just metal. It's a processed, high-tensile material used in aerospace engineering. When the sediment in that layer was carbon-dated, the scientists expected a result in the millions. Instead, the lab returned a date of 2100 BCE. 4,000 years ago. This is the exact moment in history when the old kingdom of Egypt was building the pyramids. It's the moment the Sumerians were writing their first laws. While we were told humanity was in its infancy, a shadow civilization was operating a high-tech fortress at the South Pole. But what was this place? A city? A laboratory? Or a doomsday bunker? The geological data suggests that 4,000 years ago, Antarctica didn't freeze slowly over millions of years. It was hit by a flash freeze, a sudden cataclysmic event that turned a temperate paradise into a frozen graveyard in a matter of days. Imagine the terror. One day you are walking through a green, lush valley in the shadow of a massive metallic pyramid. The next, the sky turns black, the temperature drops 100 degrees, and you are buried under a mountain of white death. They didn't have time to leave. They are still down there. And they aren't the only ones. Stay with us. In the next chapter, we dive into the secret military invasion of 1946, Operation Highjump. We'll reveal what Admiral Byrd saw when his planes flew into the dark zone, and why he warned that the next war would be fought against crafts that fly from pole to pole. To the public, it was a simple scientific expedition. In late 1946, just months after the most devastating war in human history had ended, the United States Navy launched Operation Highjump. They told the world they were going to Antarctica to test equipment in cold weather and map the coastline. But look at the manifest. You don't send an aircraft carrier, 13 warships, 23 aircraft, and 4,700 heavily armed combat troops to count penguins. This was a full-scale military invasion. Led by the legendary Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the fleet was equipped for a campaign that was supposed to last 6 months. Yet, 8 weeks in, the fleet fled back to the United States in a state of total panic. What? The official records say extreme weather conditions, but the casualty reports tell a different story. Planes were lost. Men were killed in accidents that were never fully explained. And when Admiral Byrd returned, his first stop wasn't Washington, D.C. It was a high-level briefing with the Chilean press, where he gave a warning that remains one of the most chilling statements in military history. He warned that the United States must prepare for a new kind of warfare, against an enemy that could fly from pole to pole with incredible speed. What did Byrd see in the dark zone? For decades, his private journals remained under lock and key. But leaks from the Byrd family and declassified Soviet intelligence reports suggest that during a routine flight over the Queen Maud Land Plateau, the same area where we found the 4,000-year-old structure, Byrd's plane was intercepted. He didn't describe fighter jets. He described flying crafts with a shimmering metallic surface that moved with physics-defying agility. They didn't attack with bullets. They used beams of concentrated light that disabled the electronics of his planes. Is it a coincidence that the heat anomaly we detected in 2021 is located exactly where Byrd reported his great city of the ancients? Byrd's diaries speak of something even more controversial. He claimed his plane was forced to land by an invisible tractor beam. When he exited the craft, he wasn't met by aliens from another planet, but by beings who claimed to be the guardians of the Earth. They warned him about humanity's use of atomic weapons. They told him that they had lived beneath the ice for millennia, watching us rise and fall. This leads us to the Pre-Adamite theory. If the structure found today is 4,000 years old, and Byrd encountered an active civilization in 1947, it means this complex isn't just a tomb. It's an entrance. Geological radar scans from 2023 have revealed a massive network of tunnels, not made of ice but of reinforced obsidian and basalt, stretching from the base of the pyramid in Queen Maud Land all the way to the Wilkes Land anomaly, thousands of miles away. These aren't natural lava tubes. They are transport corridors. Some are large enough to fit a modern skyscraper horizontally. If a civilization survived the flash freeze 4,000 years ago, they didn't do it by staying on the surface. They retreated into the geothermal warmth of the Earth's crust. They built a world within a world. And they have been watching our satellites, our wars, and our desperate search for their home ever since. In the U.S. military community, Antarctica is known as the Silent Continent, not because of the wind, but because of the non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. In 2015, a former Navy flight engineer who we will call Brian, came forward with a story that the Pentagon tried to scrub from the internet. Brian spent 10 years flying cargo missions for McMurdo Station. He described seeing a massive hole in the ice near the South Pole, a hole so large that C-130 transport planes could fly into it. He also described seeing a group of scientists, not Americans but men in silver suits, being escorted into a restricted zone by unmarked special forces. These scientists weren't studying climate change. They were carrying containers of artifacts that glowed with a faint blue bioluminescence. Whenever Brian or his crew got too close to the coordinates of the 4,000-year-old structure, their radios would fill with static and they would be ordered to turn back under threat of being shot down. "There is something down there that doesn't belong to us," Brian stated in a leaked interview, and the world's leaders are terrified of it waking up. If you look at the shipping manifest for the National Science Foundation over the last 5 years, you'll see a massive spike in heavy-duty mining equipment and specialized deep-crust drills being sent to Antarctica. This equipment isn't designed for ice. It's designed for hardened alloys. Whistleblowers from the McMurdo shipping docks have reported the removal of blackout containers, massive crates that are kept under 24-hour guard. These crates are never opened on site. They are flown directly to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base or the headquarters of private aerospace companies like Lockheed Martin. What are they mining? Or more accurately, what are they salvaging? The 4,000-year-old structure isn't just a building. It's a technology mine. If it survived a crustal displacement and thousands of years of ice pressure, the materials used to build it are far superior to anything we have in the modern age. We are talking about memory metals that can heal their own cracks. We are talking about zero-point energy cores that have been pulsing with heat for 4 millennia without a single gram of fuel. This is why the Antarctic Treaty exists. It isn't to protect the environment. It's a truce between the world's superpowers, America, Russia, and China, to carve up the ancient technology without starting a global war. But as the ice melts, the truce is failing. There is a final, darker possibility. Some analysts believe that the heat signature we are seeing today isn't a natural reawakening. They believe the military has finally found the key and has successfully activated the structure's main power grid. In late 2024, residents in the southern parts of New Zealand and Argentina reported seeing strange geometric auroras over the horizon toward Antarctica. These weren't the normal southern lights. They were shaped like grids, like a projection. Is the 4,000-year-old structure a beacon? Is it transmitting data to something in our orbit? Or is it preparing for a reset? The ancients who built this city knew the world would end in ice. They left us a message. They left us a fortress. But they also left a guardian. And according to Admiral Byrd's final unedited log entry, the guardian does not like to be disturbed. Hold your breath. We've covered the maps, the military, and the machines. In the final part of this investigation, we go inside the pyramid. We'll look at the leaked radar scans of the interior throne room, the elongated skulls found in the lower levels, and the terrifying prophecy that links the melting ice to the end of our civilization. Imagine standing at the foot of a structure that has been sealed for 40 centuries. The air is thin, sterile, and carries a strange, metallic scent, like the smell of ozone before a lightning strike. In 2023, a clandestine drone mission, launched from an undisclosed location in the Ellsworth Mountains, managed to navigate through a thermal vent that had opened due to the receding ice. What the cameras captured was not a tomb, but a cathedral of technology. The walls are not made of stone. They are constructed from a seamless, translucent polymer that glows with a faint, pulsing violet light. There are no wires, no pipes, no visible machinery. Instead, the very architecture seems to be the machine. As the drone moved deeper, it entered a central chamber, the apex room. In the center of this hall stands a platform, and upon that platform sits a device that looks like a liquid gold sphere, suspended in midair by a localized magnetic field. This is the source of the heat. This is the heart of the Antarctica anomaly. Scientists who have seen the leaked frames from this drone flight have pointed out something disturbing. The geometry of the room is designed to focus cosmic radiation. It's a literal stargate, a receiver for signals coming from the Orion Nebula. But it wasn't the machine that terrified the observers. It was what was sitting in the corner of the room. Wrapped in a crystalline sarcophagus, the researchers found the inhabitants. They are not gray aliens. They are human, or at least they were. These are the Pre-Adamites. They stand nearly 9 feet tall. Their rib cages are larger, designed for a higher pressure atmosphere. But the most striking feature is their skulls. They are elongated, stretching backward in a way that suggests a brain capacity 25% larger than ours. These are the same skulls found in the Paracas Desert of Peru and the royal tombs of Egypt. For centuries, we were told these were just cranial binding traditions. But DNA analysis from the Antarctic specimens, leaked by a technician at a private Swiss lab, shows that these beings have 12-strand DNA and blood types that don't exist in our modern gene pool. They didn't evolve here. They arrived. And 4,000 years ago, when the Great Flash Freeze occurred, they didn't all die. The sarcophagi found in the pyramid are not coffins. They are stasis chambers. The violet light pulsing through the walls is a life support system. They are waiting. Is it a coincidence that the global elite, the billionaires building underground bunkers in New Zealand and the politicians visiting the South Pole, are suddenly obsessed with life extension and transhumanism? Or have they been promised a seat at the table when the masters of the ice finally wake up? Why did a paradise turn into a frozen hell in a matter of days? The 4,000-year-old structure holds the answer in its very foundation. The base of the pyramid is aligned not with the current South Pole, but with a point in the Southern Ocean that was the geographic pole 4 millennia ago. This confirms the crustal displacement theory, the idea that the Earth's outer shell can slide over the inner core, shifting entire continents thousands of miles in a single catastrophic movement. The ancients knew it was coming. They built their Antarctic fortress as a time capsule for their knowledge, their DNA, and their technology. They knew that one day the cycle would repeat. If you look at the current state of our magnetic field, it is weakening at an alarming rate. The North Pole is racing towards Siberia. The ice in Antarctica is not just melting because of carbon emissions. It is melting because the Earth's core is heating up in preparation for the next shift. The 4,000-year-old structure is a clock, and the hands are reaching midnight. As we speak, the military is erecting massive weather shields around the Queen Maud land site. They are using HARP-style technology to create artificial cloud cover, hiding the structural outlines from civilian satellites. They are afraid that if the public sees the truth, if we see the towering golden spires emerging from the ice, there will be a total collapse of the social order. Religions will vanish. Governments will lose their mandate. But you can't hide the sun with a finger. Whistleblowers are now claiming that the UFO threat being pushed by the mainstream media is a false flag operation. They want us to be afraid of aliens, so that when the Pre-Adamites emerge from the ice, the military can claim they are invaders and seize total control of the ancient technology. The war for Antarctica has already begun. It's a war of information. It's a war for your mind. We started this journey with a question. How could a 4,000-year-old structure exist in a place where life is impossible? The answer is that we have been looking at history through a keyhole. We are the survivors of a forgotten apocalypse. The ruins under the ice are not a mystery to be solved. They are a mirror reflecting our own future. The Piri Reis map, the diaries of Admiral Byrd, the thermal pulses and the elongated skulls, they all point to a single, undeniable truth. We are not the first and we will not be the last. Antarctica is waking up. The ice is giving up its dead. And the masters of the ice are waiting for the world to turn once more. As the flash freeze of the next cycle approaches, ask yourself this. If you had the chance to enter that pyramid, to trade your humanity for the survival of your species, would you take it? Or would you stay on the surface and face the ice with your eyes open? The choice is coming. Sooner than you think. They are scrubbing this data as we speak. This video may not stay up for long. If you found this information vital, share it with someone who is ready to hear the truth. Leave a comment below with the word AWAKEN if you believe it's time for the Antarctic Treaty to be abolished and the truth to be told. Check the link in the pinned comment for the high-resolution, unblurred satellite coordinates we discussed in this series. History is a lie. The truth is frozen. And the thaw has begun. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay awake.